Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. I'm here with the Copo Camaro, and I'm going to talk a little bit about its stage 6 effects in this video. With the help of the Mysterious Stranger, we are working off of a fully maxed Copo, but at this point set up to stage 5 only. So let's take a look here. This is all stage 5, and we're going to go ahead and look at it. Now, the thing about tuning this car, this particular car does need to be tuned almost with every stage 6 change, unlike, say, the Mustang Cobra Jet. What it also does is that it starts off at a much better dyno point at stage 5 only than the Cobra Jet, being quite a bit faster at 9.207. However, ultimately, it doesn't end up any faster. It ends up being about the same as, actually slower than the Cobra Jet by quite a bit, making it less competitive in showdown. But that all being said, this car, as far as tuning is concerned, you want to tweak everything each step of the way with each stage 6. So this is a tune for stage 5 to get the max Evo. It may not be ultimately the fastest way to run the car, but it is the max Evo for the car at this point. This car does not like early nitrous. So what happens with the Copo is that even though you have a lot of nitrous duration, you're actually not going to end up using it most likely until 3rd gear. It actually runs better without the nitrous being used too early. So you can actually run through and use nitrous in 3rd and still get probably your best run out of the car. At least at stage 5 only, I don't easily beat dyno. It just kind of runs right near dyno, right on dyno. So here's your run. It's a little bit slower than theoretically than the dyno itself. You could shorten nitrous to get the number to go slower on the dyno and ultimately run a little faster, but that is not necessarily something you have to do. All right, let's start looking at some of the stage 6s. Okay. As always, we'll start off with engine and then move to the right. So let's go ahead and get engine stage 6 put in. That's a decent jump. That went down. So anytime the Evo goes down, even with the performance points going up, it's concerning because it usually means the stage 6 is not going to be very strong. That could also be a factor of tuning, so you definitely want to play with the tune a little bit. With more power, usually you can go this way. Now, one interesting thing about the Copo too is that a 1-point change sometimes, or 2-point change sometimes, can make a big difference in some of the Evo jumps. So you want to be careful when you're tuning to be sensitive to each point, fine-tuning it like this rather than jumping quite a few points around, as I have a habit of doing, is jumping back and forth quite a lot. But again, longer duration nitrous seems to give you a little higher on the points, with 5.5 usually giving you some of the best Evo points. Dyno says 9.011. Remember, we started off at a 9.207, I believe, dyno. So it's not that much of a drop, and that's actually kind of worrisome, but at the same time makes sense because this car doesn't have as much of a gap between its 9.2 time to its 7.3 time. But still, each stage 6 having bigger effect individually will mean that the big boy of the stage 6s will have less of an impact on your ability to get what you want, which is to beat the events. So this one obviously is not a very strong stage 6. I'm not going to run each one, but it's there at least for reference purposes. So engine doesn't get you under 9. Let's see what stage 6 out of all these will actually get you under 9.0, because if it does, it's at least, I would say, decent effect amount. If it doesn't even get you under that, then it's kind of marginal as far as what it can do. All right, let's look at turbo. Turbo, again, looking weak here. More Evo drop. That's, again, not a good sign, but of course, we'll be fine-tuning it. So nitrous I can usually leave alone at 5.5 as far as getting the best evo point. Again, best evo doesn't always mean that it's going to be the optimal evo for getting the best run out of the car. So just keep that in mind. All right, so it looks like some 1780s is where the best numbers are right here. Can I get more? No. Well, let me see if I can get more with this. No. Okay, so 2.89, we'll take that. You can change the tires to try to play with it, but I can tell you this car needs every little bit of grip it's got, so 0-100 is probably going to stay. Dyno, 9.030, so not that much weaker than engine, but not under 9 seconds yet. So this is, again, over a tenth difference, but not quite 2/10. All right, so that was turbo. Let's go ahead and look at intake. Now, moving right along, turbo, about 2/10, not quite 2/10, so 10th and plus, a tenth plus, almost 2/10. Let's take a look at intake. That's not bad. It went up rather than down, so it should at least be better, hopefully, than the other two. But only way to tell for sure is to tweak it, get it to the max evo points. Oh, we lost a lot there, so it definitely doesn't go that way. It doesn't seem to want to go this way either, so it's right in here somewhere, near where we started, which is 2.89. Let's see if 2.88 or something else can be better. No, probably not. That's like one of those 1-point bursts that's rarely going to change for the better. So looks like you're not going to change the tune. It's going to run the same tune. 9.101. So looked better, but turned out worse. It's actually weaker than turbo and engine. So right now, none of these will get you under 9.0 on the dyno, and all of these are relatively weak in overall scheme of things. And we're already stage 6 into it. Let's take a look at nitrous. Now, I can almost tell you for sure nitrous isn't going to do much. Much like the Cobra Jet, it seems like this car doesn't want to be on nitrous for long in the first place, and therefore it's unlikely more nitrous is going to do a whole lot for it. Now, obviously, duration change is going to happen, but again, as you can see, there's not a whole lot of gains by tweaking the nitrous duration. That's probably because, I saw 1855. Hold on. There it is. Okay, and you still got to tweak this. Now, I tweaked nitrous first. You don't have to do it that way. If you want to tweak final drive first, sometimes that'll be helpful. In this case, I don't think final drive is going to do much unless I get to 6, and it doesn't look like it. Now, if I have 2 of the same evo points, I'd rather run the slightly lower final drive to get that extra mile or 2 of top speed. And this, again, isn't going to help by moving. It's only going to go down. All right, so here we go. Dyno that. 9.063. So nitrous, once again, a little better than intake. Not quite as good as either turbo or engine even. So it's definitely near the bottom of the barrel here, because we know turbo and intake isn't likely to come out as the top 2. So now out of 7, we have 4, each giving less than 2/10. Combined, they may give you, say, 6/10 at this point, or maybe 7/10. So that'll drop you to about an 8.5 for those 4. And that leaves 3 right here. That should be able to drop you from that all the way to 7.3. So one of these is going to be a very big stage 6. And I think I can guess it's going to be this one. And there it is. Look at that jump. Now, here's the problem with this. If this one is that big a jump, then the other ones are all going to be less effective overall as a comparison, and that's never good. Because this is, again, one of those situations where you have a get it or don't make it kind of deal. If you don't have to write stage 6, such as this one, body here, you very well could be stuck in events with 2, 3 other stage 6s because you can't accomplish anywhere near the same thing this one stage 6 can do for you. And it looks like this one is going to be able to get more points out of it than even when I originally add on. Look at that. Let's see if we can get some serious points into maybe the 2100s. No. All right, so it looks like I'm about to hit the point, which is, looks like 2085 was the best I saw there. Go ahead and grab that again. Let's dyno it. 8.437 from 9.2. Okay, that is a big drop. Not quite a second, but 0.8. This reminds me of body on the Mustang, which is also the same way. A huge drop, and making this a very strong stage 6 and probably very important for all-around performance. You can see the mile per hour on this car is pretty good, so you may not have any issues there, and the 0-60 is still pretty good. So overall, it's a quick car that runs very well, and if you have a body on it, it could easily blow through Tempest. Chances are this car is going to rely heavily on body as its primary stage 6. Let's go ahead and move on and take a look at the rest. Then we'll do some combinations to see where we're at with this car. So body shooting to the top, and I don't think anything's going to come near that at this point as far as compensating for the amount of differences between adding a stage 6 and not. Okay, so this one, it looks a little bit like the engine and turbo kind of numbers, which tells me it may not get under the 9.0 either by itself. Okay, so again, this may be one that gives you a little bit. It's not going to be totally worthless, but chances are it's not going to be as good as you would hope it would do. Okay, so it's still going up. Points are going up. That's always good. Let's get the max points we can out of it. And again, this is the difference between this car and the Ford, in that you got to tune this car with every stage 6 you install, because it just is finicky like that. It wants to be tuned, and the best way to get the best out of it is by tuning it. Now, this is a decent number, and if I recall correctly, this should be either number 2 or behind engine or not. Obviously, number 1's body. This might be number 3, depending on what the other one was. I remember there was one that was 9.03 something. I'll have to go back and look at it. But you're jumping literally from body at 8.4 right to everything else doesn't even get under 9s, which is pretty terrible if you think about it. That makes body so critical that it would literally make or break your build if you don't have body at 6. Okay, let's look at the final one here. This is transmission. That's not a big deal, and that does jump a little bit, so this may get us into the 8s. Let's take a look. This might be second best if it can outperform. If it can get under 9 at all, then it'll be second best. It'll be that simple. Oh, come on. Come on. 9.022. Are you kidding me? Oh, wait. I didn't tune final drive yet. We have hope here. We have, no, it went down. It went down. No. It needs to go up. No, this is terrible. Now, this is very obnoxious. I really thought transmission would at least get me like an 8.9 or something. But no, I've been denied. Dyno says 9.022. All right. Okay, so literally none of the stage 6s will get you from 9.20 into 8 point anything. They're all 9.0 somethings to 9.1 somethings. That's really bad. And that brings us right into the next step, which is just how bad is it? All right, so we know one body will get you to 8.4. Okay, what about all the rest of these? What can they get you to? They should at least be able to beat the one body, which I hope it will. But maybe not. Maybe 8.0, given that we do have 6 at almost 2/10 to a tenth plus each. That's almost a whole second right there, at least, by my rough calculations. Now, the question here is, can we get, let's forget about nitrous for a second and go ahead and play with this first. See if this card wants more or less top speed. It looks like more is definitely the way to go. I may be able to get it well over 2,000 this way. Okay, looks like right here is a good spot, at least for that. Then we go back and play with this. Look at that, right? Let's dyno it. 8.156. Yes, it does beat body, but that's with 6 other stage 6s fully fusioned. Barely 2/10 under, well, maybe a little more than 2/10. Let's just call it 3/10 faster than body by itself. That means body in combination with anything pretty much will match that. So any 2 stage 6 with body will match any other 6 stage 6 pretty much. That's pretty bad. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's put body in. And let's just pick one more. What was pretty weak? Let's see. Engine was okay. Trans is actually probably one of the better ones. So let's just take intake, right? So we're going to do body and intake and see how close it gets to that 8.15 dyno. I think it won't get there. It's probably going to be like an 8.2 dyno, 8.2 and change dyno. But let's go ahead and test it. Look at the evo points. It's actually very high. Look at that. 2,100 plus. Okay, let's see if I can get more points or no. Let's just leave it there and dyno it. 8.304. 500th difference from 6 stage 6s with just body and the weakest, as far as I can recall. That is how biased this car is towards body S6. No body S6, you're basically screwed every which way. And that's not good. In addition, another weak point on this car, which is that it's a Chevy, so it uses Chevy Fusions. Unlike Ford, you cannot obtain Chevrolet Fusions without being able to get cars or get crates. I mean, you literally have to pull cars from crates, strip them, or you have crates that'll give you specifically Chevy Fusions that you can pull. But without keys, you're not getting these Fusions. Whereas Ford, you can buy it with in-game cash, buy a bunch of Fords from dealerships, strip them, get the Fusions. So that's another negative as for the Copo as compared to the Cobra Jet. So if I had to spend gold between the Cobra Jet or the Copo, I'm definitely going for the Cobra Jet. All right. So all that being said, now let's talk a little bit about how this car drives. As you saw earlier, when I tried to drive this car, well, did I drive this car? Now I can't remember. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, let me show you this car real quick with a test run. But let's go ahead and test run it with, let me see. Let's go ahead and do it with body, and let's take out intake. Okay, I'm going to test run it 3 times, 3 different ways. Once with just body, once with the other 6 stage 6, and once fully maxed. So we can see the difference in the way this car runs. Now, I thought I did a run. I'm so confused now. Anyway, ignore me here. It's late. I'm a little tired. But let's go ahead and do a dyno run here. But let's tune it first. Let's get the tuning as much as I can here. Okay, this is, again, so 4.45. Now, if you noticed, I lowered this to 4.0. There's a reason I did that, because I find the car tend to run better sometimes with that 4.0 nitrous duration rather than 5.0. But let's go ahead and test it with 4.0 for this one. 4.0 is actually kind of what you use at the fully maxed build as well. That's another reason why I'm trying that. Let's go ahead and see if I can get the, oh, There you go. There's your 0 RPM drop. So with body is how you get that 0 RPM drop, and then use nitrous in third, and you get your run. One thing about that is that if you do it pretty well, you should get dyno or little better. So this is slightly better even than the Max Evo dyno, even though this particular dyno is a little bit slower. If you look at Max Evo dyno for this car, right around here, 4.439, so we beat that even slightly. Now that's body, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and ignore that. Let's go back and run all 6 of the other stage 6s without body and see if we can also get under dyno that way. And also see if you get the 0 RPM drop, because with just body you get it, but do you get it because of the tire and the other parts? I haven't tested that before, so this will be a surprise for me as much as it is for you. Alright, let's go. All the other ones put us at a, again, theoretical dyno about 8.15. I'm going to tweak it a little, and then I'm going to run it, and let's see if it can get under it by any significant margin. So again, you're probably going to be better off numbers-wise putting it at a slightly higher top speed here. You know what I should have done? And what I should have done was use this. This is a new thing that was given. These are all presets. Okay. I actually used them to save presets for this video, but then once I started the video, I totally forgot to worry about them. But anyway, those presets are useful. Let's say you have multiple builds. You can use those presets to save your multiple builds. For example, if you have a live racing build, then you have a map build, or if you have a speed trap build and a sprint build for events on a particular car, you could save them all, and this way when you're jumping back and forth, you don't have to try to remember your tune. So this is a very nice addition overall to the game. Okay, 8.168. That's because I could do this to get that 8.15 something. You know, a little more duration will get us there. But here I'm going to try to keep the duration short. Well, that might be too short. 8.2. No, you know what? I'll leave it. Let's try it. Okay. So we're going to run it again with short duration nitrous, but using it late in third gear. The question again is, will I get a 0 RPM drop or not? Because when the 0 RPM drop occurs, this car actually runs better. It's weird like that. Okay. All right. Perfect launch first. And it gets it. Great. We can just go through here and then nitrous in third. Again, you're wasting a lot of the duration even at 4.0. But it doesn't matter. It still helps you to use it late rather than earlier, and it beats dyno quite a bit that way with 8.089. So this setup may be okay to use in, say, the 8.2 lobby. You may actually win some races, but again, it's not optimal because your performance points actually is near maxed, only about 5 points away. So I don't think matchmaking is going to favor you too much here. So, all right, so let's go ahead and go back and look at ultimately the fully maxed car. So you're talking about 8 seconds without body with all other stage 6. And then once you throw body in, it drops it to 7.3, which is a very substantial change because, again, you get a very big bump in the overall performance of the car with that S6 body. So now it's fully maxed, and now I have to tweak this again. I don't remember. I think this is a good place to be. 7.339. The real question is, can we match it or beat it? So one advantage to this car, and I didn't turn launch button on for this run, but one advantage to this car compared to, say, the Cobra Jet is it doesn't have as sensitive a window of launch as the Cobra Jet, which really is pretty sensitive. This one, in fact, you can get away with almost, I wouldn't say sloppy launch, but slightly sloppier launch and still get that needle drop, especially when you're fully maxed. 7.227. on a 7.3 dyno isn't bad. You could probably get even better than this. I think Zoocar has a much better record than this. But regardless, 7.227 is not competitive against the Max Cobra Jet in Showdown, because even screwing up the launch with the Cobra Jet, I'm likely to get at least a 7.1 or 7.0 run. So as good as this car is in Showdown, it's not quite going to get you where you want to be, even fully maxed. However, it is a much, I would say, much easier car to run with launch button than the Cobra Jet. So you're able to get that launch, that 0 RPM drop launch almost more consistently than you would get with the Cobra Jet, for example. So as you can see, as soon as I launched it, right to that 0 RPM drop, and therefore you can drive the car over and over again very easily compared to trying to get that narrow window of launch point on the Cobra Jet. Not as good a run with the launch button. Again, these parts are good. I think I shifted too early at some point in here. You should let that second gear run to, I think, all the way to 9,100 if you can. But again, timing's the key here. It could probably duplicate that very easily. Not a terrible car in that sense, but a 7.3 car running 7.2 doesn't help you in the live lobby. If anything, that 8.0 setup might be better for live lobby than the 7 point anything setup. It's just because you're in the hyper lobby once you hit 7.3s, and the only people you're going to run into there are basically F1s and fully max cars of your type, which actually outperforms you, right? There are quite a few cars that are running faster than 7.2s nowadays. So it's not going to win there, but of course, can you use it as a good swap car? Sure. With only 2 shifts and a very simplistic and reliable launch, this will make a very easy swap car for anybody who's interested in swapping in the top lobby, provided, of course, you can actually build it and get it there. So what would my choice be? Again, if I had to pick between owning only the Mustang Cobra Jet or owning only the Copo Camaro, definitely Mustang wins in all categories, except for stage 5 dyno speed, which doesn't really matter that much. But both cars highly reliant on body, and this car even more biased towards body because the rest of the stage 6s really suck in a sense. The good news in a sense is they're all kind of evenly sucky. Not one is outstandingly sucky. So, take that for what it's worth. Ultimately, you need the S6 body or you're going to have a lot of struggles. So that is my review of the stage 6 effects of the Copo Camaro. This is, again, to kind of compare and contrast it to the Cobra Jet stage 6 effects to give you a better feel for what you're facing when you're dealing with this car. Now, with one final tidbit, I just want to say that if you're actually going to try to use this car in the 8.2 lobby, I would say do the setup only if you can get body in there. Meaning, if you have body stage 6, and then you can run 1 or 2 other stage 6 to kind of run that 8.0 time with a dyno around 8.2, that's probably a far more competitive setup than trying to run all 6 of the other stage 6s, which will give you a little bit too much not evo points, but performance points for matchmaking purposes. It hurts you. So what you actually want to do is try to run something like this, which notice it's a 706 versus 709. Now, if you can get it even lower on the points, like a 704, and still manage to get that time, that of course will be even better. But lower performance point at any given evo point helps with matchmaking, so you definitely want to keep that in mind, that you want matchmaking to not be too against you when it comes to the performance point being too high. Lower performance point, higher evo cars, even though this one probably still wouldn't get you exactly where you would want to be as far as ultimate performance here, you want to take this into live with a lower PP point and with the hope that the game will not put you up as quickly against much tougher opponents who also match you on performance points. So let's go ahead and jump in live for 1 or 2 quick runs just to see where it goes. I just want to show it that it should be somewhere in the 8.2 lobby. But remember, some 8.2 lobby cars can actually run 7.7s and get away with it. So you're not going to be super competitive unless you're actually in that right bracket at the right point, which I'm not sure it is. Again, I'm running the lowest performance point possible given the performance level. So hopefully low PP, high EVO relative to the lobby will give me some kind of possible advantage. Let's take a look here. Okay, not my best drive, but notice how far ahead I am. I'm going to slow down because I want to see what he runs. I never run my first run in the lobby all out. I never win it because I don't want instant bumps. Now, he's only ran an 8.4, so it's a good positive start for my car. By not running all out and getting bumped right away somehow, what I'm really doing is I'm kind of preserving my average here. If you run all out outright, it could outright bump you in some cases if your car is already sitting on the edge of the lobby. Okay, so I'm going to take one more run, like I said, and then hopefully I'll be able to win that one, and then we'll call it. Let's see. Well, of course, I can't find anybody to race. The joys of live racing. Anybody? Anyone? Bueller? No one? Let's try the lobby again. I'm at the risk of making this video now a little bit too long, but I just want to go ahead and show you once again that, you know, setting up the car with the lower performance point for the bracket tend to be helpful. And this Copo, because it doesn't really beat dyno by a huge amount in any case, you want to leverage that body S6 and then be able to get in that 8.2 lobby in a relatively safe and competitive position. Okay, this is not a good sign either. I don't know what's going on here. Of course it loaded. All right, one last try and then we're done, because I'm mentally counting the time here. This is getting kind of long. Okay, let me see if I can just find somebody swaps. Okay, John. Let's race John. And John looks like he's got a, whoa, what was that? Wow, that was a big tire in my face. All right, let's hope John's XJ220 doesn't turn into, wow, look, wow. Okay. All right, Glitchville, here we come. All right, and I didn't get my best launch out of it, but okay, well, John's probably going to catch me, or John's not. Wow, that was weird. Could be glitch on his side, could be glitch on my side. And I think with that, he rechallenges me. And his car turned back to normal. Well, that's good. I was going to say with that, I was going to call it, but John challenged me again, so I have to do one more race. All right, John. This time I'm going to see if I can get that 0 RPM drop or not. Oh, I guess not. Oh. All right, so one thing about this setup is that the drive is a little different because it's not getting the 0 RPM drop like with the body only. So I might have hurt myself by putting trans in instead of putting in tire. But I think the point here is that it doesn't matter. I'm still winning here, and I'm not even running dyno. And that again is because I'm running a relatively low performance point for the Evo class in this lobby. You need fusions for Evos, don't forget that. So understand that you still need to get high Evo to make this kind of matchmaking favorably work for you. All right, I think that should kind of cap the final discussion on this car. Again, live racing, it's a possibility to survive in 8.2, 8.3 lobbies with a slightly favorable lobby advantage, at least for a little while, and be useful. So my ultimate conclusion, again, is very straightforward. Very S6 dependent on body. Very much a car that could make or break your event because you didn't get body. And again, it's not very competitive in Showdown, at least not this one, because it's not the top car. Is it a terrible car? No. Is it worth $39,000 50 gold to purchase? Probably not, because unless you love the car, in which case it doesn't matter. You can purchase whatever you love, regardless of whether it's useful, but getting fusions, getting parts will be difficult, much more difficult than a Ford. So keep that in mind. Alright, so that ends our Stage 6 effects video for the Copo Camaro. It turned into more of a Stage 6 effect and discussion video, but I hope that was all useful to you or helpful to you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the chat. If you like the video, please leave a like. If you like my channel and would like to get notifications when I put up new videos, then please subscribe to the channel so you can get those notifications. As always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.